Hi there, this is Donna Kozik. I am the creator and leader of the original Write a Book in a Weekend program, along with our sister program, Done For You Publishing. You can pick up your free publishing checklist at doneforyoupublishing.com. And today is my every once in a while series of what makes it good. And I am featuring this article from the New Yorker, When Trucks Fly. And I just love this article. I could probably talk for hours about it and what makes it good, a good piece of writing, but I'm going to focus on some of the key concepts. Now, even things like the caption. So this article is about these monster truck rallies, and this caption for this photo says Monster Jam still likes wrecking a truck or two, but the main attraction is what the company calls technical big air events, launching vehicles that are the size of an African bush elephant as high into the air as possible. What a great way to kind of give us the concept of how big these trucks are with that comparison to an African bush elephant. So that is element number one of what makes this writing good, where it's something that it's easy for the reader to understand, someone who's never seen a monster truck up live and in person, what the size of it is. All right, so when trucks fly, monster truck tires are at least 66 inches high, the height of an average American. When the trucks leap 50 feet in the air, a crowd's reaction is almost religious. This is by Zach Helfand. It was just published August 14th, 2023. And again, this is from the New Yorker, and they even have a cool and groovy audio link that you could listen to this. And that actually is kind of a cool thing too, because you can hear how the words work together themselves. So look at this opening paragraph. A monster trucker is the kind of person who has a favorite type of dirt. I've heard drivers describe a track as fluffy, sticky, loose, tacky, grippy, greasy, slick, crumbly, powdery, bone dry, baked out, dead, loamy, earthen, sandy, slidey, soupy, snotty, and marshmallowy. Everyone understands the distinctions. Well, you can see right there what's working there in that series of the words that sound like the essence of what the dirt is, right? Favorite type of dirt, just a four-letter word, nice strong word, but that's like what's so important. And then all those great words that to describe it. And really, this is a case of like Overboard on a series really works well. It's almost poetic the way that reads. Then a nice short sentence afterwards. Everyone understands the distinctions. That's 4 words. They obsess over them like Vinters obsess over terrier, which I'm guessing that's something to do with wine. So what that's doing is comparing and pulling in a metaphor of something that's considered, just a different type of entertainment with these monster trucks and everything, comparing it to wine. So that's a really good way just to not only show the contrast, but actually the comparison of how things can be the same, even though they seem quite different. The first time I met an employee of Monster Jam, which sells millions of tickets to its monster truck shows every year, the first thing she told me was that the company owns more dirt, she thinks, than anyone else in the world. Now, that gets in that little type of fact that I talk about, that there are some readers that love their stats and their facts. And so then that gives them something right here in this open paragraph to latch on to. They might not have been as taken as the long list of dirt descriptors like I was, but that fact is like, wow, that's really interesting. More dirt than anyone else in the world. Monster Jam runs events in about 130 stadiums and arenas annually on 6 continents. Again, this is a way to bring facts in, and that grounds the whole piece as well. And it's frankly pretty impressive. This requires building 130 elaborate temporary tracks with massive jumps and ramps constructed out of dirt, like sandcastles for a giant. Again, another fabulous metaphor right here. Rallies these days are less demolition derby crash fests than aerial acrobatic shows involving 12,000-pound vehicles. It's expensive to source and truck in enough dirt to fill a stadium, so the company stashes a big pile near each venue to be used year after year. For the Meadowlands MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, which Monster Jam visited a couple months ago, the dirt lives in a nearby Superfund site, a decontaminated corner of an old cologne factory. When I showed up on the Thursday morning before the event, a procession of dump trucks was shuttling between the site and the stadium. So just a couple other things about this paragraph give us interesting information. They actually don't move the dirt around, they store it in different places, and sometimes those places might not be able to be used for anything else, but they can store this dirt with this Superfund site in New Jersey. And then also even the specifics of mentioning Meadowlands MetLife Stadium. Most of us, our sports fans, are familiar with that, so we can picture it in our mind. That's a good thing to do in your writing, if you can give this location and even different ideas, different concepts, maybe even different celebrity names that serve as a touchstone or as an anchor in your writing, that it's something that most people know. So that's a good thing to do. Of course, all the specifics in here, the 12,000-pound vehicles, again. And then also, this is something I didn't know when I was first starting this. I'm like, Monster Jam, oh yeah, that's when they crashed trucks into each other. It's different now. It's less demolition derby crash fest than aerial acrobatic shows. Again, beautiful choice of words there. I'm certain that this author probably really worked on these opening paragraphs to bring this poetic, the alliteration to it, demolition derby, crash fest, just again, the sounds. This guy really knows his sounds, the sounds of writing. Then he's also brilliant at dialogue. It's so hard to find good dirt. Daniel Allen, who's known informally as Monster Jam's Senior Director of Dirt, told me, and by no stretch is the dirt in this area great. Allen, who is thin and wiry, got the Meadowlands dirt a decade ago from a housing developer nearby. A Russian guy, Vladdy something, Allen said, you could barely even understand this guy, but he had good dirt. That first time, Allen's crew had taken possession of about half of Vladdy's dirt when bad storms hit, and every construction pit in the area shut down. The show was in a couple of days. Allen had to improvise. Our dirt in Philadelphia is stored behind Lincoln Financial Stadium under I-95. I knew it was perfectly good and dry, so we took a night of hauling and we brought over 3,000 yards of clay at night, truck after truck, hundreds of truckloads. So here a little piece of drama in real life. But further up in this, again, just the dialogue. A lot of times when I'm doing reviews of my author's work, I'll say, listen, you've said the same word 2 or 3 or 4 times. And then I'm like, you might want to try a different way to say it. But in this case, the author knows the rules and he breaks them. He uses the word dirt 4 times, once per line in this opening paragraph. It's so hard to find good dirt. Daniel Allen, who's known informally, Senior Director of Dirt, told me. And by no stretch is the dirt in this area great. Allen, who's thin and wiry, got the Meadowlands dirt a decade ago. So in this case, it works. It also works because dirt, again, it's just one of those little words that packs a punch. It's kind of fun to say. And it's done in such a way that you kind of like the use of it 4 times. So it works well here. Again, know the rules so you can break them. And then he says a Russian guy, Vladdy something, but the author's like, oh, okay, Vladdy. So then he uses it like, he doesn't say, well, the guy who we think his name is Vladdy, he said just about half of Vladdy's dirt. He just kind of takes it as fact what this guy says. It's like a Russian guy, Vladdy something, that's his name. And then again, this little drama in real life spelled out in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines and a word about, man, we don't have dirt, it's wet, and there's how we're going to get this dirt. And then they go to Philadelphia and ship it in. A little bit more here about dirt. Then, another thing too, this is a piece about trucks or monster trucks, but the first parts of it is all about the dirt. And that's really that's interesting because it sets it up. That is the playing field of these types of events. And it's really important to the organizers and how this all can work. So it's kind of, again, drawing us in, not about the trucks themselves. We know that's going to be coming, but instead talking about the dirt. Here, talking about different areas, Atlanta, Arizona, Chicago, New England. So the reader, no matter where they are, they probably either know places like this, they might live in places like this, or know people who live in places like this. This is another way to connect your reader to your writing, is by stating places. In my trainings, I tell my authors to at least put their location on the copyright page of your book, because that gives the reader a sense of place of where you are. And doing it in this article is really cool and groovy too. All right. Again, more about the dirt, and then here's more dialogue. When they first told me we were going to take Monster Jam to Miami, I told them, well, you show me water in a desert and I'll show you clay on a beach, because that's essentially what Miami is. It's just pure sand. The company spent $300,000 trucking in loads of clay from a vein near Fort Myers. So our director of dirt has something to say about Miami too. And then we're continuing on with the dirt. It's surprising how easily good dirt can turn bad. Dirt that weathers too much can become the texture of baby powder. The pH balances matter, so Alan grows plants on his pile. He likes mixing in straw. It keeps our dirt alive, he says. A single teaspoon of soil can house 1 billion bacteria along with protozoa, something, and fungi. Or fungi. It's the bacteria that makes dirt smell like dirt. The scent comes from spores released to ward off predatory nematodes. We're getting a science lesson here next in that, and also these kind of fun facts. I know that I'm going to be, next time at dinner when there's a long conversation, I'm going to be talking about this article, and I'm like, did you know that the dirt and the pH balance matters and all of that? So it's a nice kind of trivia that is brought into a lot of science. The nice thing too for this author is that the director of dirt is telling him this stuff, so he doesn't have to go and research it. He can just refer to this source. So if any, I think little facts, again, this little science lesson is really helpful here in your own writing for your own books. If you can interview somebody or you find a piece that has something like this, versus going to, either scientific source or unscientific sources like Wikipedia, this makes it more alive. Not only the facts themselves, it makes it interesting, but also the way it's delivered through dialogue. Really, really interesting. And this is why, sometimes it's a good idea, or many times it is, to talk to somebody about your subject of interest, to bring maybe a little something in, and having some dialogue like this, even in a nonfiction book, even in a book where you're setting yourself up as the leader to the reader, it's good to bring in some of these resources, let them bring in some of this scientists and interest and kind of what makes them tick, their area of expertise. And if you can find a way to have it dovetail with what you are sharing in your book, it really makes the whole thing more three-dimensional and more alive, just like this dirt and its bacteria. Couple more interesting photos here. This one on the left of the girl looks like almost like a promo photo, which is fine. Monster truckers obsess over distinctions among types of dirt, the way Vinters obsess over terrier, again brought in. And then when a monster truck makes a big backflip, grown men hug in the stands. And then, here's a fan of the monster trucks, and that's a line that comes later too in this piece. Well, let's see here. We're still talking about dirt. Okay, again, it's so good. I got to continue. On the field of MetLife Stadium, a fleet of heavy equipment was preparing the track. Big excavators, the machines with an arm-like shovel, were unloading dirt. Loaders, which have plow-like scoopers, were sculpting the dirt into ramps. It's an art, right? They're sculpting the dirt. They're not dumping it, they're sculpting it. I went down to take a look. At ground level, nice short sentence there, again for writing rhythm. At ground level, a cloud of dust hovered over the track and made my eyes water. I grabbed a clod and sniffed. hoping for Chanel number 5. It was closer to damp basement. I love that. Again, just kind of the sense, right, that is brought into this, the sense, the sounds, the feel, and then the author's own, like, self-deprecating a little bit. I was expecting Chanel number 5. It was closer to a damp basement. That probably is Chanel number 5 for this crew. Nice more facts here. For each venue, the dirt crew hauls in as much as 600 truckloads in about 2 days. It's enough dirt to fill every car on the G train 11 times over. That they take it out within 12 hours and then go to the next city and do it again. A lot of numbers here, but still presented in such a way it's understandable and we get it. This is really interesting. The best loader operators can cut a ramp to within fractions of an inch of the proper radius of curvature. I watched them work for a while with Jamie Dansling, Monster Truck's Senior Director, Dalsing, Monster Truck's Senior Director of Global Operations. He had gauge earrings and an infinity symbol tattoo on his left ring finger. This is another thing I was going to point out in how he's giving distinctions to the different characters in this piece, with just a couple of descriptors. He doesn't kind of go on and on. Up above, he said that somebody was like thin and wiry or something. And then Jamie here, gauge earrings and an infinity symbol tattoo on his left ring finger. That's like 2 distinctive things to point out. And now we kind of have an idea of who Jamie is. He picks 2 things and to make this distinction about him and to describe kind of who he is as a personality in these, by describing or naming just these 2 things. He once worked on a dirt crew, but never got great at it. As they smoothed and carved, he shook his head, marveling. It's surgery with an immensely huge piece of equipment, he said. Alan had told me that some of his guys could spark a lighter with the tooth of an excavator and take a beer bottle top off. Again, these little factoids here, and then comparing all of this now to surgery, right? And then the specifics. 2 operators were on break, Bobby Hayes, who had a thick North Carolina accent, and a guy who went by Boston Rob, who sounded like you'd expect. Okay, he's not even going to say he has a thick Boston accent. It's just like it's in his name. They joked that they sometimes needed a translator. I asked about the beer bottle trick. We both could do it, Boston Rob said. We do screw with people. We go up and scratch their backs with the excavator. He said he sometimes follows the cat equipment rodeo, the Olympics of heavy machinery. I have done a quarter flip on an excavator, he told me. I picked up eggs, Boston Rob said. Hayes went on, the longer you're in them, the more time you have to think of stupid shit to do with them. It's just like these guys, it's like, oh, it's so interesting in this dialogue. Did this come up on his first interview with them? Maybe, maybe not. They could be part of the show almost. They probably think of themselves as part of the Monster Jam, Monster Truck show, and their characters almost in it as well. But they have this skill with these excavators. Then we're talking about the monster truck tires. We're finally getting to the truck a little bit, talking about the names of the let me see here. Wait. The thing that makes a monster truck is the tires. They must be at least 66 inches tall, which happens to be the height of an average American. What a great metaphor. So we can picture in our own minds. It's like, wow, these tires are as tall as I am. The appeal has a certain timelessness. People have always liked really big stuff, particularly of the unnecessary variety, Stonehenge, pyramids, Colossi, Costco. For perhaps obvious reasons, this is usually a male impulse. With trucks, it's also an American one, which has a lot to do with excess time and income and our collective imperialistic leanings. So getting in, like you can tell, like kind of bringing in a little bit of attitude, but a little opinion, little bit of like world history and even economics and how all of this kind of fits in. All of this is what makes this good, is it's making it such a well-rounded piece. This isn't something you probably, this is something that you craft. Writing is craft. And this guy is just fabulous at it. Then there's the land itself. We've had to carry lots of people and lots of mail over vast and varied terrain. Marty Garza, a monster truck historian, discovered that by 1894, some guys in Rochester had built a carriage with nickel trim details and enormous wheels, which they called their monster truck. 2 years later, Gottlieb Daimler invented the pickup. So here's the history, working in just a few sentences. I apologize, my pronunciations. I read somewhere that, or heard that you can always tell someone who's been a reader because they never know how to pronounce sometimes words, and that's me, but more of a reader than a speaker. But you get the idea here, and it's a little bit of the history. I'm going to finish up with right here. Okay, so a little bit about the history of the monster truck itself. Like the wheel, monster trucks were conceived by multiple men, but the godfather of monster trucks is Bob Chandler. Chandler, something of an engineering savant. I'd actually compare him to Einstein, his daughter Anne Trent told me. All right, so stopping there, what makes this good? Einstein, what we call it's again, that is like it's a person we all know and we associate with being brilliant, right? With being smart. So this line from his daughter, even, which is great, he's not calling himself Einstein or what have you, but his daughter says it, and it's like, okay, that's like a compliment to Bob, and like, okay, this guy is really smart. Owned a 4-wheel drive shop outside St. Louis. He liked to go off-roading in local creeks and mud pits. Over time, as he went looking for more things in his Ford F-250 to conquer, abandoned coal mines, slag heaps, the truck got bigger. Eventually, he added giant tires from a fertilizer spreader. To accommodate them, he once used an axle from a military rocket launcher. My wife would say, "Why do you have those bigger tires?" Chandler told me. I said, "Because I can." He called the truck Bigfoot. He parked it in front of his shop as advertising. One day he called me and said, "Hey, I want to crush cars." His former business partner, Jim Kramer, told me. My exact reaction was, "What the hell do you want to do that for?" Facts, 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 specifics here. And probably came from an interview with this Bob Chandler. But look at this, like even the military rocket launcher, the fertilizer spreader, this author had to go back, but just make sure, these are the things, got the names right. And what was something else? Oh, where he went, abandoned coal mines and all that, slag heap. I don't even know what that is. I grew up on a farm. But the thing is, like, he wants to get this wording precise and exact. And this is a time where, again, we're still in the beginning of this article and pulling the reader in, but these facts, these specifics do it. And that's what makes it good. All right, I'm going to end there. You can go and read the rest of this article, actually get to the trucks flying through the air. It's found in the New Yorker, and it is by Zach Helfand. My name is Donna Kozik. I am the creator and leader of the original Write a Book in a Weekend program, along with our sister program, Done For You Publishing. This has been one of my every once in a while series of What Makes It Good. I love this piece. I recommend that you go and read it, and then you write, and then I will see you in the bookstore.